Stay on the line. Help is coming. What's your location?
The alarm blared through the glass and steel silence of the top floor. A shrill pulse meant only for global emergencies. Inside the private office, Jamin Park snapped his head up from the glowing screens filled with acquisition reports. He'd heard this alarm only twice in his life. Both times governments had been involved. He moved fast, crossing the room to the antique red phone mounted behind bulletproof glass. His security chief wasn't calling. No encrypted alert was flashing. Something was wrong. The phone rang again, once, twice, 3 times. He picked it up. A trembling voice whispered, "Mister, please, my mummy isn't waking up." He froze. That wasn't a general. That wasn't a minister. That wasn't anyone who should have access to this line. The voice was thin and terrified, young. A child. "What is your name?" he asked quietly, instincts shifting from corporate to emergency. "Zara," the girl said, hiccuping between words. "Mummy fell down. She won't open her eyes. I didn't know who to call. I found this number on the ground last week. Please help, please." Not a wrong number. A misdial brought by fate. "Where are you?" he asked, already signaling through the glass wall to his head of security. His team rushed in silently as he scribbled the address onto the desk. "Brooklyn," she sniffed. "Room 4C, our home." The security chief glanced at the address, gave a quick nod, and sprinted out with 2 others. Jamin kept his voice steady. "Stay on the line. Tell me what your mother is doing now." "She's lying on the floor," Zara whispered. "She was cooking, and then she fell. She's breathing, but it's slow. I tried shaking her. I tried water. Nothing works. I'm scared." Her voice cracked, and something inside him cracked with it. He wasn't used to feeling anything when people begged, not after decades of running an empire where emotions were liabilities. But her fear slipped straight into him like a blade. "I'm sending help," he said. "They'll be there in minutes. Keep talking to me, okay? You're doing very well." "Oh, okay." He grabbed another device, tapping into his private medical strike team system. "All units, priority 1, deploy to Brooklyn address. Adult female unconscious, child present." His tone was clipped, focused. No hesitation. Within 15 seconds, the screen lit with confirmations. Engines roared to life. He returned the phone to his ear. "Zara, are you still there?" "Yes." "Good. I need you to open the door for my team soon. They're coming very fast." "Will they fix my mummy?" He hesitated, not because he doubted the team, but because he'd never had to reassure a child before. "They'll do everything they can." Another quiet sniff. "Mister, thank you." That soft thank you hit him harder than any corporate victory ever had. He watched the live feed from the ambulance. Cam. The truck cut through traffic, sirens screaming. The driver took turns like someone racing to save the world. And maybe, for this child, that was exactly true. "Can you tell me what your mummy's name is?" he asked gently. "Her name is Amara Obi. She works at the care home. She's very tired every day." "How old are you, Zara?" 6. A small voice, a small child, alone with a collapsing mother in a cramped Brooklyn apartment. He swallowed. Something moved behind his ribs. Before we continue, hit subscribe and tap the like button. It tells me you want more emotional stories like this, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and your favorite moment so far. The feed switched. His team had reached the building. "They're here," he told her softly. "You'll hear knocking." Seconds later, pounding echoed through the phone. "Medical response, open up!" "I'm going," Zara exclaimed, her breath rushing as she scrambled. A door creaked. Boots thudded in, voices layered with urgency. "She's in here!" Zara cried. The video feed flickered as a medic activated his body camera. The apartment was small and cluttered, but clean, lived in. A pot still boiling on the stove. A faint trail of smoke. Then, Amara. She lay on the tiled floor, chest rising shallowly, skin pale under the harsh kitchen light. "Pulse weak, oxygen low," a medic reported. Another placed an oxygen mask over her face. A third checked her vitals. Jaemin watched, unable to look away. Starting IV fluids, suspected collapse from exhaustion, dehydration, or anemia. Is she waking up? Zara pleaded in the background. Give us a second, sweetheart, a medic said kindly. Then, pulse stabilizing, she's responding. The words made something sharp unclench inside him. She would live. He didn't realize he'd been holding his breath until that moment. She needs transport, the medic said. Prep the stretcher. Jaemin spoke into the phone. Zara, your mother is in safe hands now. A tiny sob of relief. Thank you. Thank you, mister. My name is Jaemin, he said before thinking. He rarely gave it so casually, but it felt necessary. Thank you, Mr. Jaemin. For the second time in 3 minutes, his chest tightened strangely. He watched the medics lift her carefully. As they moved her through the cramped doorway, Zara rushed beside them, clutching her mother's limp hand. He stepped away from the monitors. Prepare my car, he ordered his assistant. I'm going to the hospital. The assistant stared. Sir? Personally? Now. He didn't explain. He didn't need to. Minutes later, his black SUV slid through traffic, escorted by 2 security cars. The city lights smeared past the windows, reflections flashing across his unreadable face. He wasn't sure why he was doing this. Billionaires didn't follow. Ambulances for strangers. CEOs didn't abandon half-billion-dollar negotiations because a child cried on the phone. He reminded himself it was rational, ensuring no liability, verifying his team's performance, maintaining control of a chaotic incident. But he knew deep down none of that was true. When he arrived at the hospital, the medical team had already transferred Amara to a room. Zara sat outside the door, hugging her knees. The moment she saw him, she stood. Mr. Jaemin? He crouched to her level. How is your mother? The doctor said she'll wake up soon. Her lower lip trembled. Are you going to leave now? He froze again. He should. He absolutely should. But he didn't. No, he said softly. I'll stay until she wakes. Her small hand slid into his without hesitation, surprising him. Inside the room, monitors beeped gently. Amara lay with an IV in her arm, her breathing steady but shallow. Zara whispered, She works too much. She never rests. She says we'll be okay, but... She broke off, rubbing her eyes. You did the right thing calling me, he said. You saved her. But I didn't mean to call you, she murmured. I just pressed the number on the card I found on the street. I didn't know it was yours. He stared at her. A lost emergency card. A random child. A mother collapsing. A 1 in a billion coincidence. Or something else. Before he could respond, Amara stirred. Her fingers twitched. Her brows scrunched. Then her eyelids fluttered open. Mummy! Zara rushed to her side. Amara blinked in confusion before her gaze landed on him. Who are you? He stood feeling strangely self-conscious. I'm the one who sent the medical team. Your daughter called me. Her eyes widened, fear flashing in them. She called you? How? She found a card, he answered quietly, trying not to overwhelm her. I'm glad she did, Amara swallowed. Thank you, she whispered. I don't know how to repay. You don't owe me anything. Their eyes met, a brief, charged moment. She looked away quickly. The doctor entered then, breaking the tension. Good news, you fainted from a combination of severe fatigue and dehydration. Nothing life-threatening, but you need rest. Real rest. Amara nodded, embarrassed. I work long shifts. She works all the time, Zara added innocently. Amara winced. Zara? Jaemin watched them, something warm tugging at him. They were close, protective of each other, and despite everything, humble. This wasn't his world, but somehow he was already tangled in it. When the doctor left, Amara struggled to sit up. He stepped forward instinctively. Don't move too quickly. She froze, surprised by the softness in his voice. "I'm fine," she said, even though she clearly wasn't. "You nearly collapsed in front of your daughter," he reminded her. Gently, a flicker of pride and shame crossed her face. Zara looked between them, sensing the tension. "Mummy, Mr. Jamin saved you." Amara hesitated, then offered him a small, grateful smile. "Thank you, truly." He nodded, feeling an unfamiliar warmth spread through him. Before he could speak, his assistant burst into the room, breathless. "Sir, the press already knows. They're calling this the Billionaire Guardian Angel story." Amara stiffened. "The press?" He turned to her slowly. "I'll handle it." But something told him this was only the beginning. Zara clutched her mother's arm, eyes wide with confusion. "Why do they want to talk about us? We didn't do anything." Amara looked overwhelmed, her face tightening with worry. "I don't want attention. I don't want cameras, my job, my neighbors, my life." Her voice trembled. "I can't afford problems." Jamin raised a calming hand. "You won't be exposed. I'll make sure the story is controlled. No names, no faces." "But why would they care in the first place?" Amara demanded softly. "People faint every day. People work too hard every day. Why us?" He hesitated, not wanting to admit the truth, because he had shown up personally, because nothing he did stayed private, because a billionaire in a Brooklyn ER was headline gold. "Because they think it's unusual for someone like me to be involved," he said carefully. Amara stared at him, really stared at him, for the first time. "Someone like you? You mean rich or powerful?" "Both," he answered quietly. She shook her head, still in disbelief. "I don't understand why you would bother coming here yourself." He opened his mouth, but no excuse sounded believable, not even to him. "I didn't want your daughter to be alone," he finally said. That made Amara pause, her eyes softening for a moment before she quickly looked away. The tension broke when Zara tugged his sleeve. "Mr. Jamin, do you have children?" He blinked. "No." "Do you want children?" Amara nearly choked. "Zara?" "What?" Zara pouted. "He's nice." Heat crept up the back of his neck, an unusual, unfamiliar embarrassment. "It's complicated," he said gently. Zara nodded as if she understood everything in the universe. "It's okay. Mummy says life is complicated too." Amara shot her daughter a look that said, "Stop talking before you make this worse." He found himself smiling. That was dangerous. Smiling meant softening. Softening meant trouble. Before anything else could be said, his phone vibrated. He looked at the screen. Another board notification. More angry messages. More accusations. More political fire. He stepped aside to take a breath, but Zara followed him, tapping his arm. "Are you leaving?" He should. He absolutely should. But the look in her eyes, small, hopeful, worried, cut through every wall he'd built. "No," he said again, surprising himself with the certainty in his voice. "Not yet." When he turned back, Amara was watching them with an unreadable expression, something between gratitude and fear. After the doctor finished the final check, Amara was allowed to rest, but she couldn't sleep, not when her world had flipped upside down in a matter of hours. "You should go home, Miss Obi," the doctor said, "but not tonight. You need observation and rest." Amara nodded reluctantly. "What about my daughter?" "She can stay with you." The doctor left. Silence returned. Then Zara tugged Amara's blanket. "Mummy, Mr. Jamin looks tired too." Amara shot him an apologetic glance. "You don't have to stay, really." He leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "I'm fine." "You look like you haven't slept in days," she pointed out. "I haven't." "Then go home." He looked her straight in the eyes. "I told Zara I would stay until you woke up. I don't break promises." Amara blinked, thrown off. She wasn't used to people keeping promises, or showing up, or caring at all. She looked away quickly, hiding the emotion rising in her chest. Zara, thrilled, moved closer to him. "Can you tell me a story while Mummy sleeps?" He froze. A story? Yes. Mummy tells stories all the time, Zara explained. But she's tired. Can you tell one? Jamin had negotiated mergers worth billions. He had stood before presidents. He had run a global empire. But a 6-year-old asking him for a story? That nearly broke him. I don't know any good stories, he admitted. Zara crossed her arms. You're a grown-up. You must know something. Amara smothered a laugh. Don't pressure the man, Zara. But he saved you, Zara insisted, pointing at him as if he were a superhero. He's a hero, Amara flushed. Zara. He held up a hand gently. It's all right. He crouched down. How about this? I'll tell you something simple. Zara nodded eagerly. He paused, thinking. Once, there was a very lonely boy. He grew up in a big, empty house with too many rooms and not enough warmth. Zara's smile faded. That's sad. Yes, he agreed quietly. He learned to be strong, because when no one hugs you, you learn to hug yourself. Zara's eyebrows knitted. Who didn't hug him? My mother died early, he said, and my father believed comfort made people weak. Zara whispered, That's not true. I know that now, he said, glancing briefly at Amara. Zara nodded firmly. When people are sad, they need hugs, even grown-ups. He smiled faintly. Do they? Yes, Zara declared, even you. He inhaled, suddenly unsteady. Maybe. Amara watched them, her heart tightening. She hadn't expected this. She hadn't expected him to be human, vulnerable, gentle. She hadn't expected any of it. A knock sounded suddenly at the door. Loud, unexpected, sharp enough to jerk all three of them. A nurse poked her head in. Miss Obi, someone is asking for you at the reception. Amara frowned. For me? Yes, a man. Her pulse quickened. What man? The nurse shrugged. He didn't say, but he insisted. Amara and Zara exchanged a worried look. Immediately, Jae-min stepped forward. Stay here. You don't have to. I do, he cut in. Something feels off. He left before she could argue. Downstairs, the lobby was quieter than usual, but near the glass entrance stood a man wearing a hooded jacket, shifting nervously from foot to foot. He lifted his head when he saw Jae-min approaching and instantly stiffened. Recognition flickered in the man's eyes. Not awe, not respect, but hate. Jae-min's security instinct flared. He approached slowly. Are you looking for Miss Obi? He asked. The man's jaw tightened. And who are you? Someone making sure she's safe. The man scoffed. Funny, because you're the reason she isn't. Jae-min froze. Explain. Ask your company, the man snapped, taking a step back. Ask what happens to people who get close to you. Jae-min narrowed his eyes. Who are you? But the man turned and walked out of the hospital before any guard could stop him. Jae-min stood still, jaw clenched, mind racing. That wasn't a random stranger. That was someone who knew him, knew his company, knew enough to be dangerous. He returned to the room. Amara sat up straight when she saw his face. What happened? He debated telling her. He didn't want to worry her, but lying would only break trust. There was a man downstairs, he said. He wasn't there for you. He was there because of me. Amara's face drained of color. Because of you, but why? He sat down slowly. I'm not sure yet, but I intend to find out. Zara crawled between them, clutching his sleeve. Are we safe? He felt something inside him harden with purpose. Yes, he said firmly. I'll make sure of it. Another knock interrupted them. A different nurse entered. Miss Obi? Someone tried to break into your apartment. Amara gasped. What? Zara cried. Jae-min stood so fast the chair nearly fell. The nurse continued, Your landlord called. He said your front door was forced open. Someone went through your things. Amara pressed a hand to her mouth. My God! Zara began to cry. Jae-min didn't hesitate. You're not going back there? Not tonight. Not ever until I make sure it's safe. Amara blinked through shock. Where would we go? He held her gaze steadily. With me. Amara stared at him as if she hadn't heard correctly. The room felt smaller, heavier, tighter around the three of them. With you? She echoed softly, as though afraid. Saying it louder would make it less real. Yes, he said. My estate is secure, heavily monitored. No one can reach you there without my permission. Zara wiped her tears with the back of her hand. Mummy, please. I don't want to go home. What if the bad man comes back? Amara's heart clenched. She pulled her daughter close, kissing the top of her head, but her eyes lifted to him. I don't want to be a burden, she whispered. I don't want my problems to become yours. They already are, he answered, whether you want them to be or not. She swallowed hard. Why? Why are you doing all this? He could have said obligation. He could have said responsibility. He could have said PR. But none of those things were true. I don't know yet, he admitted quietly, but I know I can't leave you unprotected. Something flickered across her face, fear, hope, disbelief, all tangled together. She looked down at her daughter, then back at him. Just for tonight, she said, until we know what's going on. He nodded. I'll arrange everything. Within 30 minutes, a black SUV pulled up to the hospital entrance. 2 members of his elite security team stepped out, scanning the area like shadows with eyes. He helped Amara into the car carefully, but she pulled back slightly. I can walk, she murmured. I know, he said, stepping aside, but you're still weak. She hesitated, then nodded gratefully. Zara climbed in after her, immediately pressing her face to the window. Mummy, look, the seats are so soft. Amara tried to smile, but her hands trembled slightly. Not from fear of him, but from the storm her life had suddenly become. He slipped in last and shut the door. As the car moved, the city lights slid across their faces like streaks of gold and shadow. Zara's head soon drifted onto his arm, half asleep, trusting him completely. Amara saw it, her breath catching. She doesn't open up to people easily, she murmured, not even at school. He shifted slightly so Zara's head rested more comfortably. Children sense who means them harm and who doesn't. And me? Amara asked before she could stop herself. Do you think I mean you harm? He turned to her slowly. I think you're the only person I've met in years who doesn't want anything from me. She looked down, unable to hold his gaze. I don't even understand your world. I don't expect you to, he said, voice low. Very few people do. They rode in silence, but not an uncomfortable one, just quiet, heavy, with things unspoken. When they reached the estate, Amara's eyes widened. The house was modern, glass and stone, but surrounded by trees and guarded gates. Not flashy, not loud, just secure. Wow, Zara breathed as the gates opened automatically. It looks like a castle. Not exactly, he said with a faint smile, but it's safe. Inside, warm lights illuminated the hall, a soft beige sofa, a tall bookshelf, a simple painting above the fireplace, everything surprisingly gentle for a man rumored to have ice instead of blood. A housekeeper approached, but he nodded once, signaling privacy. She stepped away silently. This will be your room, he said, showing them into a spacious guest suite. Bathroom inside. If you need anything, press the button on the wall. Zara jumped on the bed like it was the best thing she'd seen in her life. Mummy, it's so soft. Amara laughed under her breath, exhaustion finally cracking her composure. Zara, get down. That's not proper. It's fine, he said. Let her be a child. Zara giggled and rolled across the bed again because he said so. Amara's gaze softened. You should rest, he told her gently. No stress tonight. Amara exhaled shakily. I don't know how to thank you. You already have, he said without thinking. She blinked. I haven't done anything. He looked away, jaw tightening slightly. You trusted me. That isn't something I get often. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. He turned to leave. I'll be right outside. If you need anything at all. Wait, she said suddenly. He paused at the doorway. "Will you stay until I fall asleep? Just for a moment? The room feels too big." He hesitated, but only for a second. "Of course." Zara curled up between the pillows, already drifting. Amara sat on the edge of the bed, breathing slowly, grounding herself. She looked at him as he sat in the chair near the bed. "I'm scared," she admitted softly. "I don't want to be, but I am." "That's normal," he said. "Fear means you still have something to protect." She nodded. "And you? Do you ever get scared?" He thought for a long moment. "Yes, but for different reasons." She looked at him. "Like what?" He met her eyes. "Losing people I didn't even know I needed." Her breath caught. Her lips parted, but she didn't speak. Before she could answer, a loud vibration cut through the quiet, his private phone. He checked it, and his expression hardened. "What is it?" Amara asked immediately, dread creeping up her spine. He looked up slowly. "The man from the hospital. He's not just angry, he's dangerous. My team found his name. He used to work for my company." "Used to?" she whispered. "He was fired for attempting to steal sensitive data. He's been unstable since, and now he's fixated on you because of your connection to me." Amara's hand covered her mouth. "My God." Zara stirred but didn't wake. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "This isn't your fault, but it means I can't let anything happen to you." Her eyes glistened. "What if he tries again?" "He won't," he said. "I'll make sure of it." The next morning, sunlight filtered through the curtains. Zara ran into the living room, finding him sipping tea while reading security reports. "Good morning, Mr. Jamin." He looked up and gave her a rare, warm smile. "Good morning." Amara entered moments later, hair loose around her face. She looked rested, but shy, her eyes darting around the elegant room. "Did you sleep well?" he asked. "Yes," she said softly. "Better than I have in a long time." Before the quiet could stretch, his phone beeped again. He checked the message. "What happened?" Amara asked, fear returning. He looked at her steadily. "They found him." Zara grabbed her mother's hand. "The bad man?" "Yes," he said, "and he's in police custody now." Amara's knees nearly buckled in relief. She sat heavily on the couch. "It's over?" "Yes," he confirmed. "You're safe." Zara launched herself at him, hugging his waist. "Thank you." He froze briefly, then slowly hugged her back. "You're welcome." When Zara ran off to explore the giant bookshelf, Amara approached him. "You didn't have to do any of this," she said softly. "But you did, for us." He looked down at her hand, so close, almost touching his. "I'm glad I did." Their eyes met. No fear, no confusion, just quiet understanding. "Let me repay you somehow," she whispered. He shook his head. "You don't owe me anything." "But I want to," she said. "You changed everything for me and my daughter." He hesitated, then said, "Then allow me to do one more thing." She lifted her chin. "What is it?" "I have a foundation that helps families in crisis. I want to offer you a position there, a stable job, good pay, no stress that harms your health." His voice softened. "You deserve better than exhaustion and danger every day." She stared at him, speechless. "Are you sure?" "Yes," he said simply. "Not as charity, as recognition." Tears filled her eyes, but she blinked them away. I accept." Zara ran back, throwing her arms around both adults at once. "Does this mean he's our friend forever?" Amara laughed through her tears. "Maybe it does." He looked at them, mother and daughter, and felt something settle in his chest, something he hadn't felt in decades. Belonging. Zara tugged his shirt. "Mr. Jamin?" "Yes?" "Can we have dinner together tonight?" He smiled, soft, rare, real. "Any time." The morning sun warmed the room. Amara reached for his hand. This time she didn't pull away. And for the first time in a very long time, neither did he. If you enjoyed this emotional story, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful narratives. Your support keeps stories like this coming.